Hey wonderful friends, welcome back to another very slow and quite short flow. This is going to be perfect for the times where you're just wanting to slow right down, sit still for a moment, move the body in some really gentle asanas. And a theme that I would love to run in this class, or to bring into this class, is the idea of being less. I heard one of my teachers say this the other time. We're so used to doing more, needing to fill our days with productivity, and it actually takes a very skilled and disciplined person to know their energetic boundaries and know when to slow right down and kind of do nothing. So let's bring that into the practice. We're going to start on our backs today. Roll yourself down. I hope you feel really comfy. Of course, if you really enjoy practicing with things that assist you in these slow practices, maybe a blanket or a pillow or blocks or anything, then please feel free to bring that into your practice if you have them close by. And can we just let the body melt down towards the ground here? Connecting the back of our body with the earth. Anytime that I go out into nature where it is quiet and I can't hear or see anything that is man-made or reminds me of the world that we live in, I am just reminded how nature goes at its own time. The trees around us have been there for likely anywhere between 50, 100, 150, 200, maybe even 500 years. We are not expected to be able to turn up every single day of the year with the same energy. And like I've mentioned in many of the classes, yoga is about finding balance. And with balance becomes knowing when to slow down and knowing when to lift up. But right now, we are just focusing on taking our time. We are in no rush. When you start to tune in with the rhythm of the breath, maybe even try to slow the breath down a little bit. Again, we are in no rush. Letting our body, mind, heart know that this is a safe space to be. Let's try about 5 more deep, intentional breaths here. I sometimes even like to bring a hand on the heart and a hand on my belly as a way to direct the flow of breath. Feeling both the chest and the diaphragm expand into the hands. Very slowly, can we start to walk the feet back towards us and start to draw the knees towards the chest, maybe hugging the hands around the shins, tucking the back of the chin, the back of the neck in slightly by bringing the chin in towards chest just a little bit, finding our way into our Upasana, wind relieving pose. Just be really gentle here. You could take a few lifts and draw ins, maybe a few circles with the knees. Maybe you find stillness. Take about 3 more breaths here, as much as we can during this practice. Let's keep our attention as much as we can on this mat, in our body, in our breath. Bring the knees over the hips, take the hands wide, big breath in. As you exhale, can you drop the knees over towards the right? Try to keep the left shoulder towards the ground. Maybe the right hand comes around the left thigh. Gentle turn of the eye gaze towards the left hand. Can you use your next in-breath? Come back through center, lift the knees above the hips. Exhale, turn the knees towards the right, send your eye gaze or the right ear down. See if you can make your way back through center. Grab the backs of your legs, start to roll yourself up, cross over the feet, find your way onto your knees and your hands. We'll find a way into a balasana. Now knees can be narrow here, or you can take the knees towards the edges of your mat, sending your hips back over your heels, reaching the hands forward. Can you ground the forehead towards the earth? And how can we be less in this asana? Maybe it's not in the physical body, maybe it's in the mental body, emotional body. If you notice that to-do list starting to come up, just acknowledge it. Acknowledge that need, or the need to occupy the mind. And usually when we feel that desperation, that pull towards something, it generally is as a result of fear. If I don't do this, this is going to happen, and I'm scared of that. Or if I don't do this, this means that I am. And so learning to unwind that narrative, that false narrative, will allow us to be more at ease in our own presence. Start to walk the knees in slightly. Lift up the hips, tabletop. We're going to turn this into a slightly deeper back bend. Extend both of the hands forward. Big breath in. Exhale, start to dive the heart space towards the ground, puppy pose. Big extension through the spine, big energy opener. Keep trying to lift the tailbone, lift the top of the hips towards the sky. Dive the heart space towards the ground. Again, you can make this a bit more passive. You could always press into the hands, the fingertips, if you wanted to make this a bit more active through the shoulders. Another option, if the heart space is touching the ground or is very close, you can lift your eye gaze towards the top of the mat. Maybe the chin grazes towards the ground. Can you release the jaw, release the eyebrows, find softness in the body. 2 more deep breaths. And start to walk the hands back. Tabletop position, spread fingers wide, big breath in. Exhale, let's curl through the upper back, draw the belly button in to find a cat. Separate your shoulder blades here. Come through center. Take your right foot and see if you can land it outside of your right hand. We're going to find a lunge here. Kneeling lunge, the back knee is down. You can always place a blanket underneath the knee if you need a bit more support. Feel free to stay up on your hands. If you do have space, feel free to bring maybe one elbow towards the ground, maybe the other elbow if it touches. If the elbows don't quite meet the ground, but you're wanting to go a little bit deeper, maybe you have a block nearby or a pillow or something that can lift you up a couple of centimeters or inches. For my fellow Americans. If you're feeling pretty open in this position, perhaps you invite the chin towards the chest and the crown of the head in the direction of the ground. And this you may feel through the nerves that run down the back. Two more breaths here. Come back to the hands if you were down. Let's place our right hand on the right thigh. big breath in, try to lift up tall, light press through the right hand. As you exhale, can you keep twisting that right, yourself over to the right? It's really hard to be still when you've got lots of things crawling over you and biting you. Draw the right shoulder back. One final, not a final alternative. An option here, if you'd like to take it, is to bend the left knee, take the right hand around to clasp. Now we want to be somewhere at ease within this. So if you are forcing yourself to pull yourself open, maybe you just release and just have the hand on there. We'll be here for another 3 breaths. It's going to feel a bit uncomfortable, and that's okay. How can you ease yourself into it? Land the hand down, land the foot down. Start to slide yourself back. Find your way into an Ardha Hanumanasana. Right knee is softly bent here. Maybe the hands come to the ground. If you need a bit more space, you could always come up to your fingertips or something else to lift you up a bit taller. Try not to lock the right knee out here. Try pull the right hip back, left hip forward. Find that rhythm of the breath again. Two more breaths here. Start to walk yourself back. Tuck the left foot in, slide down onto your sit bones. We're going to find our Gomukhasana, our cow face pose. Left foot comes in. If we can, take the left hand around the right ankle and place it on the left side. So the right knee and the left knee are somewhat stacked. The further out your feet are, the more you'll feel this in the hips. Now, if this is very tight on the joints or hips, feel free to grab a pillow or something to lift yourself up on, and that's going to relieve some compression within the hip joints and the knee joints. Take a big breath in, lift up tall. Exhale, fold yourself over the front. And if your chest does touch that front thigh, can you press it down a little bit more? Feel the weight of both sit bones, ground towards the earth. Let's take about 3 more breaths here. And you're ready. Start to maybe unwind the right leg first. Find your way back into a tabletop position. We're going to try that all on the other side. Extend the left foot out by the left hand. Oh my goodness. It is winter here. I thought sandflies go in the summer. Let's find our lunge first. Again, maybe hands up. Maybe 1 elbow down, maybe 2 elbows down. Maybe the chin tucks in. And it's likely for most of us this is going to be a very strong sensation and perhaps uncomfortable. Can we just let gravity do its thing? to pull the hips down. If you're down on your elbows, start to walk up to your hands. Left hand is going to come around on top of the left thigh. Breathe in, start to lift tall. Exhale, can you press on the hand to twist the left shoulder back? Option to stay here if you wanted a quadricep stretch. Think about pulling the right foot up, left hand comes behind. Try about 3 more breaths here. Place the right foot down, start to shift the hips back, left toes lift high. Adho Hanumanasana, breathe in, lift up. Exhale, can we send the hip bones back? Hip bones are stacked over the knees, by the way. They're not all the way back. But metaphorically or energetically, you're pressing the hips back, trying to tip the pelvis forward. Like you have a bucket of water in your pelvis and you're trying to spill all the water out. That's going to help start to lengthen the hamstring a bit more. You pull the left toes back a bit more, left hip back a bit more, right hip forward. 3 more breaths. We're going to slide our weight back into the right leg, but tuck the right foot in first. Hips go back down onto the ground. Gomukhasana, right hand comes around the left ankle to lift it up. Again, you can slot something underneath your hips if your hips aren't quite touching the ground. If you don't have anything to touch, maybe you extend the right leg out. Alternatively, you could find a cross-legged position here. Breathe in, find length. Draw the left hip bone down. Exhale, fold. And with every breath, just letting any need to be someone, be somewhere, do something, just letting that melt away. Sometimes it's scary being with yourself and by yourself, and I think if we live in a life where we find dependence in other things or other people, being in your own mind can be very scary. So if you feel that, I understand you. It's just a practice of letting go, trying to find detachment, vairagya. It is a practice but it's an essential one for us as humans. To start to roll yourself up, come to the top of your mat. We will lie down onto our backs. If there are any asanas that you would like to finish your practice with, please feel free to. Otherwise, we will be lying down just for a couple of minutes of shavasana. Letting the body relax here. Finding any hand position that feels right for you in the moment. And when we start to slow down and listen, our inner teacher can come out. We have so much wisdom within us, but often it only shines through when we bring attention to it, if we consciously try and listen. And it's moments like these and these practices, just little stepping stones for you to be able to access that more often in your day, in your weeks. If you've noticed that your mind has occupied itself elsewhere, see if you can, and just encourage it to come back to the moments that you're experiencing right now. Ever so slowly, start to make some movement in your body. Maybe wiggling the toes, wiggling the fingers. We will find a way up into a seat to finish out our practice. Of course, if you'd like to stay in your shavasana for longer, I would so highly encourage that. Sit up tall through the spine, hands to heart, and with this mantra of being less, we will finish our practice. Thank you so much for joining me here, giving some time to yourself, and I'm very honored to be here with you in this practice of yoga. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.